We are looking at ways to identify the subject and the verb in a sentence. We've been going through different rules for doing that. This is rule number 3. The subject of a sentence can never appear within a prepositional phrase. So when we're identifying the subject and the verb, we first need to identify any prepositions, cross out any prepositional phrases, and that's going to leave us with the sentence that should include the subject and the verb. So let's take a look at 3 examples I have here on the board. First, in 1977, Star Wars debuted in theaters. So I see 2 prepositions. Actually, it's the same preposition twice. In here and in, which means I have 2 prepositional phrases. In 1977 and in theaters. Well, that just leaves me with Star Wars debuted. So I know that my subject is Star Wars and my verb is debuted. All right, let's take a look at the next example. As a freshman, Nikki took a course in study skills. Again, I see 2 prepositions. Now, how do I know that? Well, really the only way to know this at a glance, the way that I'm seeing these at a glance, is to memorize those prepositions, to just be able to immediately see a word and know that it's a preposition. If you haven't done that, then there's a handout in the module with a list of the most common prepositions. I would print that out and keep that handy as we're working through all of these grammar lessons, because it's going to be an important skill throughout the rest of the course, really, that you can identify these prepositions. Okay, so I see 2 prepositions again in this one. I see as and in. So I have 2 prepositional phrases that I need to cross out and get rid of. As a freshman and in study skills, which means that I'm left with Nikki took a course. So my subject is Nikki and the verb is took. And this is a good example where you can see how eliminating the preposition prevents us from making a mistake. Because if I'm simply looking for the first noun in the sentence, that would be freshman. Well, the subject of the sentence is not freshman, because freshman is part of a prepositional phrase. So I have to get rid of any prepositional phrases first before I start looking for the subject of the sentence. All right, let's do one more together. This paved the way for the creation of a new computer lab. So I see 2 prepositions here. I see for and of, which means I have 2 prepositional phrases for the creation of a new computer lab. That leaves me with this paved the way. This is my subject and paved is my verb. So hopefully this makes it a little clearer, identifying those prepositional phrases. Do lots of practice with this, and as I said, I can't repeat this enough, I can't emphasize it enough. If you haven't already memorized that list of prepositions, work on doing so, or at least making yourself familiar with them so that you can pretty easily spot them in a sentence.